Coming up on KUJH, the Black Student Coalition hosted a ceremony of silence on Friday to let the community pay their respects to those that have lost their lives to police brutality.
And ACT UP KU Coalition has won the 2021 Student Senate race. However, there was an extremely large decrease in voter turnout this year.
And how KU's financial situation has been affected by COVID-19. All that and more right now on KUJH.
Live from the studio in Stauffer Flint at the University of Kansas, you're watching KUJH News.
Good afternoon and welcome to KUJH News. I'm Matt Mitchie.
And I'm Steph Manchin. KU is expecting to see a further increase in budget cuts going into the next school year. KU's new CFO, Jeff DeWitt, is proposing that the university cut $29.6 million of expenses in fiscal year 2022, which begins this July. DeWitt proposed a long-term budget plan with the hope that cuts won't have to continue to grow.
According to DeWitt, budget cuts alone don't do enough to help the university's finances. The university needs to find opportunities for growth next year, or it will face even more cuts in the coming years. As college enrollment all across the country declined following the COVID-19 pandemic, DeWitt emphasized the importance of establishing growth quickly. However, DeWitt remains optimistic that KU will be able to overcome these budget shortfalls.
The Lawrence Police Department is going through a change in leadership as new interim police chief is taking over this Sunday. Captain Adam Heffley will become the Lawrence Police Department's fourth police chief since 2017. He is replacing interim chief Anthony Brixis, who held the position since May of last year. The police department is still searching for the next permanent police chief, but until then, Heffley will lead the department as of this upcoming weekend.
Heffley has been with the Lawrence Police Department for 21 years and has served on the command team since 2013. He was instrumental in the creation of the police department's Special Victims Unit, which officially began last December. Heffley said that he is committed to progress in the department through introspection, quality, training, experience, and a thorough review of how we currently operate.
Have you been trying to get a COVID-19 vaccine but just haven't been able to yet? New Douglas County guidelines are making it more convenient than ever to get a vaccine. Next month, LMH Health will begin hosting drive-through vaccine clinics 5 days a week that will allow you to get a vaccination without making any appointment. The new clinic will replace the mass vaccination clinics at the Douglas County Fairgrounds, which will end as of today.
Current plans are for the clinics to run from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. every weekday in the LMH Hospital parking lot off Main Street. Anyone can come to the clinic and get a first or second dose. The clinic's goal is to deliver 200 to 300 vaccines a day. This is much less than the daily average at the fairgrounds, but county health leaders hope that this more convenient method of vaccination will reach more people who haven't wanted or been able to get a vaccine yet. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine has been once again approved for administering in Kansas after the CDC encouraged resumption last Friday. The vaccine's distribution was halted earlier this month after 6 of 6.8 million recipients reported blood clots. After extensive investigation, the CDC and FDA determined that the benefits of the vaccine outweigh the potential risks and recommended states begin administering the vaccine once again. Kansas will receive 1,700 doses during the first week of May. Vaccine providers were given relevant updated information regarding the vaccine's known and potential side effects in order to more safely manage the vaccine's distribution.
If you have taken the vaccine and are experiencing common flu-like symptoms within the first couple days, such as headaches, nausea, and tiredness, that's common and there's no need to worry. If you are feeling more severe stroke-like symptoms such as numbness or tingling in the limbs, slurred speech, difficulty talking or standing, seek immediate help.
According to Monday's COVID update released by Lawrence Douglas County Public Health, the number of active cases rose to 217 active cases. According to the Kansas Department of Health and Environment, just over 38% of Kansans have received at least one dose of the vaccine, as over 1.8 million total doses have been administered throughout the state. The CDC also updated their mask guidelines Tuesday, as they now recommend that those who have been fully vaccinated no longer need to wear a mask outdoors except when in crowded settings.
With masks no longer required outdoors, if you are fully vaccinated, that probably means more people will be taking advantage of this beautiful weather we've been having lately. Our KUJH weather correspondent Halen Wilhite is here to give us a look at what to expect the rest of the week. Halen, what's up with this sudden rain?
Well, it's spring, and normally with spring we get pretty much any kind of, you get snow like last week, you get storms like today, and you'll get sunshine later this week. You know, temperatures are finally on the rise, and we're feeling really, really nice. Phenomenal weekend ahead, and also we're going to be seeing another chance for severe weather come next week. Although I want to share a video that I had the other day. I don't think it's going to be working. Oh, here we go. Well, anyways, right now here in Lawrence, it is 67 degrees with passing rain showers still in the area, but for the most part, it's just kind of been drizzling a little bit. And here's a video I took earlier today just showing how much this rain was coming down. It was literally like a monsoon out there, and the roads were quickly filling up with water. And we actually did get some reports that there was some cars stalled in the middle of some roads in Lawrence and had to have water rescues happen. So pretty crazy weather we're having today. But good news is that it's going to get better as we get in the next few days. And also too, yesterday was a very significant day in weather history, and I just wanted to share this, so it's been 10 years since the 2011 super outbreak, where there was 360 confirmed tornadoes and 321 fatalities. It was a devastating time, and even just about 200 of these tornadoes only happened within 24 hours, and it was an absolutely crazy event, and we just hope we're not going to be seeing that anytime soon, but stay with us.
Welcome back. A ceremony of silence was held on campus last week to allow members of the community to pay their respects to those who have lost their lives to police brutality. Steph, you had the chance to take a look at the organizers of the event. Let's see what you had to see.
Kimani Gray, born in 1996, died March 9th, 2013. Shot in New York by New York police officers.
As Kira Rudolph read the names of victims who have lost their lives to police brutality, University of Kansas community members bowed their heads in silence. The KU Black Student Coalition held the ceremony of silence on campus Friday in remembrance of those who have died of police brutality. BSC President Naya McAdoo said she felt a need to hold a space like this on campus to bring localized awareness to the racism impacting Black individuals everywhere.
You know, some of these victims are children, 6 and 7 years old, who will never get to go to high school, who will never get to be on a college campus, who will never, get to live a fulfilling life,
Attendees were encouraged to bring flowers and candles to place around signs that showed images of the victims as a vigil of remembrance. Rudolph reminded the group that these individuals, whatever their age, were taken too soon.
People who lived, breathed, had friends, thoughts, families, and dreams. And some people were 13 years old, some people were in their 40s, 50s, and 20s. So we just wanted to take the moment to recognize their names and say their names out loud.
The Black Student Coalition intends on holding future spaces like this one to further education on campus and provide a place of healing for all. For KUJH, this has been Steph Manchin.
It's great to see that spaces like these are available for community members to continue their education on racism and bring awareness to our campus.
Yeah, I know that the Black Student Coalition was very pleased with the turnout, and it's always great to have those conversations and make sure that everybody is acknowledging the events that are going on around our campus and in our nation. The votes have been counted in last week's Student Senate elections, but there were not that many votes to count in the first place. According to unofficial vote counts from the Student Trial Court, only 4.4% of eligible KU students voted in this year's election. This represents a drop in eligible voter turnout by about 6 percentage points compared to the previous two elections. Neither the student body president-elect Naya Denise McAdoo nor Vice President-elect Ethan Rourke made a public comment on the results, but their campaign coordinator, Jimena Ibarra, in a prior interview talked about ACT UP KU's campaign strategy.
And so obviously that looks really different from the traditional sense that we've all known of knocking on doors and stuff like that because of COVID. It looks like texting people within our circles and stuff like that. It's tactics that a lot of grassroots orgs have used on college campuses. And so that's how we're hoping to turn out the most students, especially those who are traditionally the least likely to get involved with Student Senate.
ACT UP KU's victory against KUnity candidates Andrew Moore and Will Cook still needs to be certified by the Student Trial Court.
Distracted driving is a leading cause of death for young adults. Our own Emily Johnson talked with some experts about how to drive safer and with less distractions.
Living in the 21st century, it is pretty easy to get distracted by these devices while behind the wheel. That's why April is National Distracted Driving Awareness Month. But what can we do to reduce that risk?
In 2017 alone, distracted driving accounted for 52% of the deaths for people aged 15 to 19, and those numbers are continuing to increase. Don Hughes, a trooper with the Kansas Highway Patrol, has dealt with distracted driving his whole career. He said this about staying focused while in the driver's seat.
Ready, and that way you can handle situations and so you're not distracted. Keep the phone calls short and sweet. Don't text and drive.
Simply putting your phone in the glove compartment or in the passenger seat can help eliminate the temptation.
There's no reason that you need to be using a phone while driving, but the only time to make that decision really is before you start driving.
Making this decision before you get in the car could help mitigate the risk of getting in an accident.
You have to realize driving is the single riskiest thing you do in your life. You should pay attention when you're driving. You're more likely to die in a car crash than the next 3 causes of death combined.
Hopefully this month in particular, you remember to put your devices down while on the road. This has been Emily Johnson for KUJHNews.
Thank you, Emily. Distracted driving is a very important topic that unfortunately all too many of us are guilty of. When we come back, we'll have the latest in entertainment. Stay with us.
From adversity, we rose. We made history and became pioneers, voyagers, champions, Jayhawks. And when our chant rises, haunting and hallowed, Jayhawks are telling the world what's near. Victory.
Welcome back. As national movie chains close down, mom and pop theaters stayed strong and pushed through. KUJH reporter Matthew Johnstone examines Lawrence's own Liberty Hall to find out how the iconic building is still standing. Let's take a look.
Theaters like Liberty Hall are rare. The building itself has been a part of the Lawrence community since 1870. And as other theaters around the country close down due to the coronavirus, Liberty Hall continues offering screenings and events.
Located on the corner of 7th and Mass, Liberty Hall stands as the only movie theater in Lawrence. I met with video manager John Fitzgerald and marketing director Rachel Major to find out how the building has survived through the pandemic and what makes the space so unique.
Liberty Hall benefits from being a multifaceted business. We have the cinema and events and the coffee shop, and the video store is definitely something that benefits from the other arms. When we had to, completely shut down events, the video store helped to keep Liberty Hall afloat.
We actually started showing movies on the weekends back in like August, September, just kind of see how it would go, trying to get some people back into the theater. We're doing private screenings more, that it's, a little bit more of a safer environment. This building has a certain energy to it that is very positive, and I think it's because of all the art and the bands and the music and just the energy of live entertainment is just really exciting, and there's a lot of euphoria that comes from those things.
Liberty Hall stands as a monument to the citizens of Lawrence. For filmmakers, there's no place quite like it in the city. For KUJH News, I'm Matthew Johnstone.
To keep up with Liberty Hall on upcoming events and screenings, you can follow their socials on Instagram at Liberty Hall Inc. and on Twitter and Facebook at Lib Hall. And speaking of movies and theaters, we'll now send it over to Jordan Nicole, Stephanie Morales-Macedo, and Lauren Hugo for the last KUJH Entertainment Roundtable to talk about the Oscars.
Thanks, guys. I'm so happy to be back after recovering from COVID. So once again, we are combining Listen Up,
Hollywood with Hugo,
and The Close Up to bring you your last roundtable for the Oscars.
Let's start off with some of the most noteworthy events from the award show. The Oscars were full of special moments as well as upsets last Sunday, as the award show went hostless once again and demonstrated an organized and cinematic event inside the Dolby Theater in Union Station in Los Angeles. Regina King was the first presenter who touched on her reaction to the Chauvin trial as a Black mother, then informed the audience about protocols the Academy took, saying all actors and filmmakers were vaccinated or tested negative several times, but would wear their mask outside of their tables regardless. A big moment that went viral on Twitter afterwards was Daniel Kaluuya, who won Best Actor in a Supporting Role for Judas and the Black Messiah, and continued to thank his mom and dad for doing the deed on live TV.
Like, it's incredible. My mom met my dad, they had sex. It's amazing. Like, do you understand? I'm here. You know what I mean? So.
Tyler Perry received a standing ovation for his acceptance speech after winning the Jean Herschel Humanitarian Award, where he asked for anybody who would refuse hate to meet him in the middle.
So anyone who wants to meet me in the middle, to refuse hate, to refuse blanket judgment, and to help lift someone's feet off the ground, this one is for you too.
Anthony Hopkins won Best Actor. However, this was an upset to several people on Twitter, claiming it was a snub from the late Chadwick Boseman. Hopkins wasn't able to attend the show in person, but thanked the Academy in an Instagram post from his hometown in Wales. The actor also dedicated his award to Boseman.
Very grateful to the Academy and thank you. And I want to pay tribute to Chadwick Boseman, who's taken from us far too early.
The agreed best moment of the night was actress Glenn Close's knowledge of the butt and twerking during Questlove's music trivia. However, the Los Angeles Times confirmed the bit was slightly scripted for laughs, but hey, it worked.
I loved when she got up and twerked, y'all.
Yeah, it's like the momentum we needed. It was a little slow, but she really sped things up, and I did laugh.
Yeah, I have to say that I was trying not to nod off. I'm being, completely honest, just because I feel like we needed to keep the pace going, but this definitely made me smile.
Yeah,
for sure. The Oscars made history this past weekend, breaking the barrier for women and actors of all ages. The Minari actress Yoo Young-yoon became the first Korean to win an Academy Award in acting categories.
Me being here by myself, I cannot believe I'm here.
The award for Best Actor in a leading role went to Sir Anthony Hopkins, who won his first Oscar since the 1991 thriller Silence of the Lambs. Hopkins became the oldest actor to win an acting award at the age of 83 for the role in The Father. Lastly, the night truly belonged to Chloe Zhao for becoming the second woman and the first woman of color to win the Academy Award for Best Director. The last time a woman won was in 2010 when Catherine Bigelow paved the way for women in this category. It's also worth mentioning that Emerald Fennell, the director of Promising Young Woman, was nominated. She didn't win. She did get Best Original Screenplay, but she directed the whole movie while pregnant.
Wow.
I remember she even made a line, or she had a line in the show where she was like crossing her legs, just hoping that her kid would wait a couple more weeks after filming.
Yes. We have to give her a shout out though.
Yes, shout out to her and to all the super moms. Now let's start with the looks that were turning heads all night. Now taking the number 3 spot is R&B artist Her, who paid tribute to Prince in a Purple Rain inspired jumpsuit designed by Dundas. Taking the number 2 spot is my girl Regina King. 62,000 sequins, almost 4,000 crystals, and 140 hours went into designing this custom Louis Vuitton dress. Now what a queen. Now the number 1 spot needs no introduction. Zendaya. The Euphoria star hit the red carpet with a purpose, wearing over $6 million worth of diamonds, Jimmy Choo platforms, and a neon Valentino dress inspired by Cher. Now, here are the celebrities that missed the mark. I love Andra Day, but her outfit was a little underwhelming. Day hit the carpet wearing a gold Vera Wang gown with cutouts on the side. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great either. Coming in at number 2 is Bianca Anna wearing a gold and black striped suit. It doesn't look like she's dressed for the Oscars. Maybe she's going to brunch. I don't know. I hate to put Laura Dern on the list, but I have to. Dern was wearing Oscar de la Renta, and I'm not sure what look she was going for, but it's kind of giving me like a Goose vibe. Yeah, but I have to say that when we look at the best and worst looks, the 70s are back. They're here to stay. The 90s are in, and it was great to see these artists paying tribute to the greats like Prince and Cher, and these silhouettes that just really captured who these people are and just float on their body. But Zendaya, she is a true queen, and I have to give a shout out to her stylist, Law Roach. He just really understands her, and I love it.
Well, me and Stephanie said beforehand, we took a look at your list, and there wasn't one that we disagreed with.
Yeah.
We're all on the same page this time.
Yeah, overall, they all looked pretty great. Compared to the Golden Globes and the Grammys, everyone did an overall well job.
Yes, I think, it's this unspoken rule that when you come to the Oscars, you have to bring out your best. Yes.
And that wraps it up. After the break, Halen will give you your full weather forecast. Stay with us.
You may not hear it at first, but it's there. Our chant, rising. On this summit, callings converge, voices unify into a chorus that sounds out for good, for greatness. Can you hear it?
Welcome back. My name is Halen Wahai here with your full KUJH weather update for this evening. Stepping outside right now, we're feeling pretty mild. Some areas, Toronto is at 72, Leavenworth getting closer to 69, but for the most part, we're feeling pretty mild. We did feel a lot warmer earlier this afternoon, but unfortunately we had some rain showers moving into our area, and they're still kind of sticking around for the most part. We do have a little bit of storms starting to develop towards Emporia, and they're making their way to our area, which will probably, it'll be on and off as we go on into the evening hours. As we see 5 o'clock, we're staying pretty cloudy, and then 7 o'clock, we're gonna see another chance of thunderstorms in our area, and then kind of on and off as we go into the evening hours. And as I mentioned before, on and off, 55 degrees is our low tonight. Precipitation chance is at 60%. And now for tomorrow, rain is still not quite out of the question yet, although I will say it's only going to be affecting the morning hours, particularly around 7 a.m. is when we could see just a little bit of that leftover showers from tonight. But then as we get into the day tomorrow, it is going to be absolutely gorgeous, and it's going to be even more gorgeous as we get into the rest of this week. Check out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, climbing into the 80s and full of sunshine. It will be an absolutely phenomenal weekend. Although as we get into next week, we're going to see our next chance of severe weather, and our next chance of severe weather, which I will be keeping a very close eye on. But for right now, we're still at about 40%. But again, most of these storms are probably going to be isolated and probably going to be happening more towards the evening hours. But I will keep a very close eye on this. And coming up next, your latest in sports.
Where you go to college makes a statement about you. This place will become a part of you, your identity for life. The University of Kansas, a great place to be you.
Welcome back. It's been a busy week in sports with even more action still to come.
We'll now go to KUJH sports anchor Morena Sievers for some updates on KU men's basketball and women's basketball and a look at the NFL draft.
Thanks, guys. Last week, KU senior guard Marcus Garrett announced that he would declare for the NBA draft, declining his extra year of NCAA eligibility. In a letter addressed to Jayhawk Nation, Garrett said the only bad thing about being a basketball player at Kansas is saying goodbye. In the letter, he thanked his family, teammates, Coach Self, and Jayhawk fans. In a post to his Instagram, Garrett said, quote, "I will always be proud to call myself a Jayhawk." But Marcus Garrett isn't the only offseason loss for KU men's hoops. As we know, 5 players have decided to enter the transfer portal and head elsewhere. In addition to the transfers, Jalen Wilson and Ochai Agbaji have declared for the draft, and we're still awaiting their decisions on whether they will return to KU. For now, though, the possibility remains that they could stay in the draft and that KU could lose even more players. However, Kansas has also signed a high range of transfers and high school recruits to come into the program. So what could the team look like next year? Well, despite losing Garrett and Bryce Thompson, the Jayhawks are set to enter next season still having depth at the point guard position. We've got DeJuan Harris returning, who's
started to make some really solid contributions toward the end of last season. Drake transfer Joseph Isefu is also capable of taking the point and will bring explosive athleticism and experience to the floor. Then we have incoming freshmen Kyle Cuff Jr. and Bobby Pettiford, both with point guard experience. Now let's take a look at the 3-guard. As mentioned, we're still waiting on Ochai Agbaji's decision, as that is his position. If Ochai stays in the draft, Christian Brown is versatile enough to play different roles for the Jayhawks and could be a solid option here as well. Newcomer KJ Adams stands 6 foot 200 pounds. He's very athletic and strong enough to play inside and out. His size, strength, and versatility will give him potential at the 3, 4, and even 5 positions, depending on who's out there with him. Looking at the 5 spot, David McCormick will be the unquestioned starter next year, though he'll have some help from JUCO transfer Sidney Curry, along with Mitch Lightfoot and Cam Martin. Overall, if the Jayhawks prepare well, they should enter next season with depth and versatility at all 5 positions. The team's core is already quite experienced as well. Still in basketball news, yesterday, the KU women's team introduced the 3 fresh faces the program has added to its coaching staff. Kansas alum Terry Nooner Jr. will take over as assistant coach, responsible for recruiting, scouting, game preparation, and skill development. He will also be the position coach for forwards. Also joining the Jayhawks are assistant coaches Morgan Page and Karila Middlebrook. Prior to arriving at KU, Page played for the Wisconsin Badgers and was an assistant coach at North Dakota State. Middlebrook was an assistant coach at Grand Canyon University after her playing career at Alabama and Kansas State. The NFL draft starts at 7 p.m. tomorrow and will go until this Saturday. Matt Mitchie and I talked earlier this afternoon about which positions the Kansas City Chiefs could be looking to address with their picks. Let's take a look. All right, welcome to the KUJH Draft Special. I'm Marina Sievert, joined now by Matt Mitchie. Now, Matt, let's get right into it. We know that the Chiefs' biggest need in the draft a couple days ago would have been the offensive line if we didn't want all of next season to look like a repeat of the Super Bowl. But the Chiefs recently made a trade with the Ravens to pick up tackle Orlando Brown Jr. In exchange for their first-round pick this year. The Chiefs' first-round pick this year, and a couple of others. We got Orlando Brown Jr. and a second-round pick. So now there doesn't seem to be a super obvious need that the Chiefs 100% need to address in the draft. They can kind of look at a couple of different spots that maybe they have some room for improvement. So with all of that being said, I throw to you, where should the Chiefs go position-wise with their picks in the draft this year?
Yeah, absolutely. Unambiguously following the Super Bowl, it was obvious that the offensive line is what ultimately cost that game. Mahomes was pressured more than any quarterback in Super Bowl history, but because of how bad the offensive line was, people kind of overlook how bad the defense was in that game as well. Tom Brady was only pressured 4 times the entire game. He just ran up the score on the Chiefs the entire game long, and if they had taken the gas off, if they hadn't taken the gas off throughout the rest of the game, through the second half, then it's likely they would have scored at least 50 at the level that the Chiefs defense was playing. So to me, it seems the biggest hole right now is the pass rushing. It is terrible right now. Frank Clark is one of the most overpaid defensive ends in the entire league currently. So to me, I think that is the number 1 spot that the Chiefs need to look at for addressing in the draft.
I would agree. Frank Clark, I actually have this down in my notes just to mention that he is not a really consistent pass rusher. He's seen good games. Of course, the playoffs a couple years ago when the Chiefs did win their Super Bowl, he did have some great contributions in that game. But again, it's the consistency that lacks with him. And even with Frank Clark, let's say he's a consistent, top-notch pass rusher, he still doesn't have anyone really solid playing on the other side of him, especially with Okafor not returning from last season to this season. So I would agree with you that that is a big need that the Chiefs should look to address in the draft, and I would not be surprised if they took a good pass rusher with that first, second-round pick that they get. But we know through that Orlando Brown Jr. trade, they did pick up an additional second-round pick. So assuming that they won't take the same position twice, there's another hole that I think the Chiefs should look to address, and for me, that would be the linebacker spot. The linebackers, especially with Anthony Hitchens in that traditional middle linebacker spot, there seem to be some issues in reading plays, communication, things like that. And not to say that the Chiefs have not had strong spots at linebacker, because of course they had it. We're a Super Bowl team. But I think that definitely could use some depth there, especially a good linebacker in terms of pass coverage, because that is really where the Chiefs linebackers struggle. What are your thoughts on that?
No, yeah, absolutely. Outside of Hitchens, really Willie Gay is the only other even halfway consistent consistent linebacker on the Chiefs defense. And, you know, if Hitchens is your number one linebacker, then your linebacking depth is in a bad spot. So I definitely agree that if we're not going to immediately address a pass rusher, then the Chiefs need to focus on the linebacking efforts.
Well, that's all the time we have for this KUJH Draft Special. Remember, you can watch the draft live starting at 7 p.m. tomorrow on ABC, ESPN, or NFL Network. Well, there you have it. Be sure to join us next week for a draft recap and a breakdown of all the Chiefs' picks. We'll go back now to Matt and Steph for talking about National Superhero Day.
Thanks, Marina. You heard it here first. Make sure to grab your favorite mask and cape to celebrate National Superhero Day today.
Some well-known superheroes include Superman, Wonder Woman, Spider-Man, Batman, and the Hulk. Although these characters are fictional, characters across the world look up to them as role models.
Other superheroes include firefighters, doctors, and teachers. The superheroes both make believe and real. We thank you for all you do.
Steph, who's your favorite superhero?
I like Captain America because I like Chris Evans. How about you?
I'm a Batman guy personally, but that's KUJH News for April 28th.
To view our stories again or to share them with your friends, visit our website at tv.ku.edu and check out all of our social media pages. Be sure to tune in next Wednesday at 4 p.m. for our final broadcast show of the semester. With Matt Mitchie, I'm Steph Manchin. Have a great evening.